Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield myself such time as I may consume. I want to join the gentleman from Texas in expressing my anger and disgust at the cowardly attack on the former president in Butler, Pennsylvania, a couple of weekends ago. What happened at that rally was horrific and un-American. When the news first broke, my thoughts immediately turned to the former president's family and the uncertainty and fear they must have felt. Our families are often the ones who shoulder the burden of the decisions we make, and I know that must have been an awful day for them. I'm truly grateful that the former president is okay. I'm also heartbroken over the death of Corey Comparatore, a former fire chief who selflessly shielded his own family from the bullets. And of course, I will continue keeping the other two victims who were seriously wounded in my prayers. Sadly, political violence is not new to this country. One of my earliest memories is actually of us sitting around our dining room table with my mother and my father and my two sisters in Worcester, Massachusetts, writing condolence cards to Ethel Kennedy in the wake of Robert Kennedy's assassination. It was an awful, awful thing. I hope our country never goes through that ever again. We don't yet know the motive of the would-be assassin, and there are still many unanswered questions. We know he was a disturbed, isolated young man, happened to be a registered Republican, who had easy access to an AR-15. He was doing computer searches on both Republicans and Democrats on the rally in Pennsylvania, as well as the Democratic National Convention. We also know that an assassination attempt is more than just an attack on one person. It is an attack on the fabric of our democracy, and so it needs to be taken very, very, very seriously. There needs to be accountability. And I just caution here that accountability does not mean finger-pointing. I actually want to echo the remarks of the former president's family to say that many brave law enforcement officers and Secret Service agents put their lives on the line in that rally. They nearly took a bullet for the former president and ought to be applauded for their bravery. I also think we shouldn't be jumping to conclusions about which law enforcement agency or officer is to blame, whether it's this leader or that leader or this person or that person. We don't need to play the blame game. We need to know the facts. We need to get the facts. Clearly, there were major breakdowns in communication and planning, which is why we need a task force to investigate every aspect of what happened. Let them examine what went wrong, and let us make sure this never, ever, ever happens again. And with that, I reserve my time.
The gentleman reserves.